Peace, peace, peace. Welcome to a new episode of the Mixed Metals Podcast. I am your humble host, Quan, aka Hard to Find. Um, got a lot to talk about this week, sort of. Let's start by recapping the NFL this past week. So I'm not sure whether or not I spoke about the Giants and the Eagles. I think that game was going on I think that game was in progress when I was recording last. So the Giants did pull away that upset, doubled up on the Eagles 34-17. Um Eagles kind of looked out of sorts, and with that being the last time we seen them, that's the second of back-to-back losses for them. We're hearing reports now that well, I guess you can't necessarily call it a report, but I guess it's someone that's in the know, quote unquote, that is saying that the team's morale basically is approaching the 2023 meltdown that took place, where the Eagles were 10-1 and just suddenly got disinterested. Um, you hope that's not the case, especially for a Super Bowl champion, a defending Super Bowl champion, uh, a team that kind of overcame a lot, considering the fact that in the first Super Bowl that they were in against the Chiefs, they played their heart out and, just came up short. And then for them to kind of fall into a slump the next season, get beat in the first round, I believe, against the Buccaneers, and then for them to follow that up with a dominant Super Bowl win, and then now to kind of be in a lull. This is kind of how the Eagles go. Like they definitely have their ebbs and flows. But you hope that you would hope, especially if you're an Eagles fan, that once you win the Super Bowl, you would that kind of quells some questions, some hunger and passion, but at the same time, it should also make you more hungry. Like there's another quarterback out there with more Super Bowls than you, so you would think that you would stay motivated to repeat or to just make history, but it doesn't appear that is the case at this moment. But we'll see if they turn it around. I'm sure they will. And if not, then I think Sirianni is out of there. Um, but back to the winning team. Scatterboo is playing some impressive football. 19 carries, 98 yards, 3 touchdowns. Um, if not for Egbuka, I think Scatterboo is the rookie of the year. Um, and then Egbuka is injured. We'll see if he actually misses games. If he misses games, I think Scatterboo is the leading candidate for offensive rookie of the year. So that's pretty cool. Broncos beat the Jets in London in a very ugly game. Um, Not really much to say. Bo Nix, 19 of 30, 174 yards, 1 touchdown. Uh, Brees Hall, 22 carries for 59 yards. Um, like I said, not much to say there. Colts beat the Cardinals, 31-27. Colts are 5-1. Chargers beat the Dolphins. The Dolphins. Tua started pointing fingers at everybody except for himself after the game. It was odd to say the least. And it's not the first time that he's done something of that nature. I think that they need some kind of leadership classes or something out there in Miami. Um, Patriots beat the Saints. Patriots are 4-2 and currently lead their division, thanks to the Bills losing on Monday night. I'll get to that in a minute. Steelers beat the Browns. Steelers are 4-1. Panthers beat the Cowboys. Panthers are 3-3, undefeated at home. Um, Jaguars scored 12 points and lost to the Seahawks 20-12. Rams beat the Ravens in the ugly game 17-3. The Ravens defense kind of finally woke up. And if you are a Ravens fan, I had the Ravens defense that's who I drafted in my fantasy draft, and I had to drop him because it was looking bad. They were giving me negative points in some cases. So we'll see if this was a turning point for him. Raiders moved to 2-4 with a win over the Titans. Um, Packers beat the Bengals. Flacco, that was his first game with the Bengals. Um, 29 for 45 for two touchdowns, 219 yards. Jamar Chase with 94 yards on 10 receptions, one touchdown. Um, he Joe Flacco is not, he's definitely not a superstar, especially at this point in his career. I don't think Flacco was ever a superstar. Um, I had said before on a previous podcast that I was on that I think at least in my lifetime, I think Joe Flacco is the worst Super Bowl MVP. And that's not necessarily a knock. Somebody got to be the worst, right? But um, yeah, I think he like of all the Super Bowl MVPs that have existed in my lifetime, I think that he has the worst resume. Uh the Buccaneers beat the 49ers, beat my 49ers to move to 5-1. They're tied for the best record in football right now. Um 49ers lose Fred Warner for the season. I did read a couple articles about what the 49ers could or should do. And whether or not they should be aggressive. They do have enough cap room to make a good move for a good to great player. But it will probably end up being a 1 year rental, and you kind of don't want to spend a lot of capital for a rental. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with that. But yeah, once Fred Warner went down, it kind of sapped the 49ers. You could just see it. And Matt Jones did throw for 347 yards, 27 of 39, but he did throw two picks. Um, and no one person cost us the game. Kendrick Bourne with another stellar performance, five receptions for 142 yards. That's incredible. Um, but yeah, they just kind of ran out of gas. But hopefully they can get back on the right track. We do play the Falcons this week, Sunday Night Football. Um, I'm hoping that all hope is not lost for him. I think that this game itself was a battle of the two coach of the year candidates because I mean what the Buccaneers have been able to do given all the injuries that they have had, and the 49ers same thing. You can't help but commend them. I think a lot of teams would have done a lot worse with that amount of injuries. Um, so kudos to Baker, and as he is my fantasy quarterback in one league. So I was it was I was indifferent on Baker that game, but they got the win and they are playing some excellent football right now. Chiefs beat the Lions 30-17 to move to 3-3. Lions moved to 4-2. Um, Lions kind of don't look the same. I don't know what's going on, and that fight by Brian Branch at the end of the game was like kind of uncharacteristic for him. I know that they bring the fight to teams, and they're the tougher team usually, and those kind of things. That's what's gotten them um their success in these past couple of years. But they got just outmanned, outbullied, I guess, in this game. Um, as I mentioned earlier, Falcons beat the Bills 24-14, and it was that score is closer than the game actually was. It was 21-7 at one point. Um, and they were a foot out of bounds away from it being 28-7 right before halftime. Um, it was ugly. It was an ugly game. Michael Penix 20 for 32 for 250 yards, one touchdown. Bijan Robinson played out of his mind, 19 carries, 170 yards, one touchdown. And that touchdown was an 81-yard run. Um, and I wanted to see Josh Allen. Josh Allen, 15 of 26 for 180 yards, two touchdowns, two interceptions. That's a very pedestrian game from the MVP. Um, I don't know what happened. I think they dropped 2 games in a row as well. Um, and I believe I read an article about their coach saying that Sean McDermott saying that he's hoping that because I think they're going on a bye, and he was saying that he was hoping that this could be a time for them to start over. Bears beat the Commanders on a game-winning field goal by Jake Moody, who couldn't make a field goal to save his life for the 49ers, but glad he found a second life, second gear, I guess, in Chicago. And if I'm not mistaken, he had gotten the call, or not the call, but he had gotten like brought up on the roster that day because I think their primary kicker had an injury. So good for him. Um, let's see. That's pretty much all I had on the NFL. Nothing like super duper stuck out to me. Um, the Panthers being 3-0 at home is pretty cool. Uh, I think I had I was kind of rooting, or not rooting, but I was kind of leaning on the Panthers making some noise this season in the NFC South and challenging the top teams, which are, I guess, at this point, the Falcons and the Buccaneers. Uh, and I mean, they already put a 30 piece on the Falcons one time. Um, so no telling what you could do in your division, in any division in the NFL, especially. Um, to move on to college, and I will talk about it this time. I just can't forget about Notre Dame. Notre Dame, Notre Dame, Notre Dame. Let's okay. Um, I believe I mentioned it last week, but I did go to the Georgia Tech game. Georgia Tech kind of tried to give it away in the waning minutes of the game, but they did pull it off 35-20. Um, it was so fun to see them in person. 20 of 24 for 213 yards, one touchdown for Haynes King. He had complete control of the game, if you ask me. Uh, but from the top down, let's see. South Florida beat North Texas. South Florida scored 9 touchdowns in that game, I believe. I read. North Texas, that's their first loss on the season. That score ends up being 63-36, if I didn't say that earlier. Um, Ohio State beat Illinois on the road, 34-16. Um, uh, Julian Sayin is getting some talk in the Heisman conversation, as is Jeremiah Smith. Um, one has to outdo the other as far as that goes, or neither one of them get it. That's kind of how that always goes. Indiana, another game where one team had complete control. Indiana beat Oregon on the road, 30-20. Um, it wasn't ever really close. Uh, Indiana is looking like a real contender right now, especially in the Big Ten. Them and Ohio State are the only two undefeateds in the Big Ten, I believe. Um, and they may be on a crash course at the moment. Um, Washington State gives Ole Miss a scare, moving Ole Miss down one spot. Um, but that final score was 24-21. It was 7-0 after the first quarter, and only 10-7 at halftime. So, that just goes to show you what kind of game that was. Uh, Florida got beat by Texas A&M 34-17. Um, Oklahoma came out flat. John Mateer he went 20 of 38 for 202 yards, 3 picks. A lot of talk about whether or not he came back too early. It was 17 days after his surgery on his hand. Um, he was expected to miss like multiple weeks. So, we'll see what happens moving forward, whether or not that was a good decision for him to come back. At the moment, it doesn't look like it. 23-6, if I didn't say that score. Texas had something to prove. That was their first and only up to this point week being unranked. Uh, after being number one early in the season, it's unbelievable that they, they lose two games and they lose two games to uh understandable that they lost to Florida. Um, but they lost to Florida in Florida. That's an SEC opponent. Um, the SEC is the toughest conference in football, whether people like it or not, or whether people want to admit it or not. Uh, but anyway, I don't know if it's just my Texas or Oklahoma bias that I'm defending these two schools, but I don't think Texas had a fair shake. And I know that a lot goes into Arch Manning as far as his leadership and what he's shown on the field, and that does have to be answered for. But at the end of the day, it's two losses. One to the number one team in the country, who looks absolutely dominant, to the current number one team in the country, and then another to an SEC opponent on the road. Uh, Speaking of on the road, Alabama beat Missouri on the road 27-24. Ty Simpson, boosted his Heisman hopes, 23 of 31, 200 yards, three touchdowns, um, including a fourth and eight touchdown pass. That was unbelievable. Ty Simpson is playing, in my opinion, the best quarterback in the country right now. And you can take that with a grain of salt because I am a huge Alabama fan, but uh, I don't see anybody playing quarterback better than him right now. Me. Um, Texas Tech beat Kansas 42-17. That was a thumping. I'm gonna get back to the Georgia Auburn game. I want to talk about that a little more. LSU beat South Carolina 20-10. South Carolina 1-3 in the SEC for a team that was thought to be pretty decent. I want to see if they show South Carolina's rankings all throughout the season. Well, it doesn't show like what they were ranked. So, but I'm pretty sure they were in the top 15 uh preseason. Now, this year's preseason rankings have been some of the most like unpredictable that I've ever seen. Uh like judging by how far it can move up or down. So that is what that is. But anyway, LSU beat South Carolina 20-10. Tennessee beat Arkansas 34-31. Arkansas is not a great team, but they do seem to be challenging for again, that's SEC opponent. SEC, like, this Arkansas team would probably be a number two or number three team in the ACC, in my opinion. It's just the SEC is just a completely different league than any other league. Um, Georgia Tech beat Virginia Tech 35-20. I mentioned that earlier. I was at that game. USC beat Michigan 31-13. Michigan got to kind of pull it together if they plan on doing anything this year. Um, Notre Dame beat NC State 36-7. I want to talk about that a little later. BYU beat Arizona 33-27. That's a close one. Um, Utah smoked Arizona State 42-10. Colorado upset Iowa State 24-17. And Pittsburgh handed Florida State its third straight loss, 34-31, and moving Florida State out of the rankings altogether. All right. I don't know which one I want to talk about. Okay, I do. I'm gonna talk about the Georgia Auburn game first. All right. Uh Georgia beat Auburn 20-10 in one of the worst officiated games I've ever seen in any sport. Uh it I mean, just egregious. If like I'm not of the opinion that that refs are paid, or that there's cheating going on in college sports and those kind of things. I think that the the kids out there give the game too much for them to be cheated. Um, but I would love for that game to be like reviewed, or like and I know it's impossible, but like to be uh not forfeited, but a draw or something, because I cannot believe the officiating that I saw in that game. Of course, you know what I'm talking about if you know about this game. That was a touchdown. He crossed the plane. The tip of the ball broke the plane with the ball in his hands, in Jackson Arnold's hands. And they reviewed it for about 15 to 20 minutes and came back with a fumble. Which, if it was a fumble, uh, why didn't the play continue? I don't understand how it became a dead ball or whatever. Um, and Kirby Smart definitely called the timeout. It, he Now they slowed it down, or I saw a slowed down version of that video, and it he was saying they're clapping. That is what he was saying, but his hands were in the shape of a T, like so. And he was running towards the refs and the formation, and looking at the scoreboard as if he was like looking for the play clock. And I think it was kind of telling that even when he was talking about it for the first time, he was saying um, that they were going to get the playoff because the shot clock had a little time on it and those kind of things. I think him saying shot clock was was telling to me at least. I don't think it was nothing. So that was interesting, and I mean, of course, he doubled down, tripled down on it, and I think years from now, when none of this matters, I do think that he will admit that that was a timeout. There is no way. Um, and after that, after he said that he wasn't calling a timeout and that he was saying that they were clapping, uh, the refs didn't call a delay of game, which there was only 1 second left when they blew the whistle. Nor did they uh give Georgia that charge Georgia with a timeout. So I don't know what that was about. It was just weird. It was just some very, very weird officiating, especially for it to be in Auburn. I think somebody got it out for Hugh Freeze this year. Not seriously, but I do think that he's just had a bad shake at it. Hopefully, um, and it's the Alabama fan in me. And that's another thing. I am a huge Alabama fan. I hate Auburn with every fiber in my being. The only time I ever go for Georgia is when they're playing against Auburn. But I would like for the game to be called down the middle. I would hate for it. Like those seniors and those kids out there have never beaten Georgia. And for it to not be, I don't feel like it was earned on the field. I feel like that game was taken from them. um, you just you want to see Auburn lose, but you don't want to see it happen like that. And maybe that's just me, but I hate to see that happen. Um, so especially, and I have no dog in that fight. Alabama has to play both teams this year. We already beat Georgia. Hopefully we end up beating Auburn. I know that's gonna be a tough game. Auburn's defense is legit. Um, and they should have a pretty potent offense as well. They just can't get it together. Hopefully that continues. Um, I don't believe in Jackson Arnold. I don't think he's that great. He was 19 of 31 for 137 yards. Pretty pedestrian game. Um, but anyway, moving on. Notre Dame. I wanted to talk about them last week. Uh, but I just forgot. Okay, so Notre Dame. I would like to look at the rankings. I'm gonna go through each week, just to indicate what's going on here. All right, AP top 25 is what we basically go off of until the college football playoff rankings come out. At the beginning of the season, Notre Dame was number 6. All right, Notre Dame loses its week 1 game against Miami and moved down to number 9. Okay. That's fair. Miami is a good team. Miami was number number 10. So, whatever. Any other team, I don't know if Notre Dame still moves to where, so Miami moved up, but I don't know if any other team would move down only 3 spots after losing to a team that was ranked lower than them. but it is what it is. Uh, Miami moved to number 5 the following week. Notre Dame moved to number 9. Notre Dame loses again to Texas A&M, who was ranked number 19, and they moved to oh, they moved to number 8. They moved to number 8, and Texas A&M moves to number 16. Notre Dame beats, I think Arkansas, maybe. I'm gonna pull up a different uh tab so I can do. I do apologize. I hate the white noise type situation. Let's see if I go with rankings here. Almost there. Okay. So yes, Notre Dame loses in week 1 and week 2, and they move to number 24. So they dropped 16 spots. They then beat Purdue 56-30, and they move up 2 spots to number 22. They then beat Arkansas 56-13 on the road. And they move up to number 21. They then beat a terrible Boise State team 28-7. Move up to number 16. Boise State is not ranked, by the way. They then beat NC State 36-7 and move up to number 13, which conveniently puts them right outside of the top 12. Of course, we know it's a 12-team playoff, so the top 12 teams at the end of the season make the 12-team playoff. But if the playoffs were today, Notre Dame would be in with those 2 losses. Uh, and considering that they have not spent a week unranked this year. Um, they're the only team that was 0-2. Let me make sure I'm not talking out of my ass. Uh, yes, the only team that was ranked that was 0-2 that was ranked. Um, they're the only team. Um, the only team with back-to-back losses that stayed ranked, and Texas, after being number 1 in the preseason, fell all the way out of the rankings after their loss to Florida. Their 2 losses came to, again, Ohio State, the current number 1 team, and Florida, which Florida is who they are. I mean, they were ranked at one point this season, but that's neither here nor there. My thing is that Notre Dame. I've been thinking of my how I want to say this. Uh, for whatever reason, I understand that Notre Dame was in the championship last season. Notre Dame has not won a championship. because now I'm curious. All right. Notre Dame has not won a national championship since it appears 1988, as far as claimed national titles. That's, college gets weird with the claimed and unclaimed. Um, Marcus Freeman is 36-12 in his tenure as the coach. And this is his fourth season. Um, Notre Dame doesn't have a conference, so they can't be punished for conference losses and that kind of thing. Um, so that's also convenient. Uh, my thing is that Notre Dame doesn't get punished for losses; they only get rewarded for wins. And I think it is absolutely insane that they were 0-2, were still ranked, and are now the highest ranked two-loss team, one of only two-loss teams that are ranked, and the other one had to earn their spot back into the rankings. That team being Texas. Um, I just and Texas's losses weren't back to back. It's just I can't wrap my head around the fact that Notre Dame is ranked number 13. Um, and I can't help but think about the fact that had it been any other team that I mean we've seen it. There is another team with two losses. Um, I'm looking at the FBS independent standings right now. Conference, of course, 0-0, which it will always be because they don't have a conference. But overall, they're 4-2, and they are number 13. UConn is also 0-0, 4-2, unranked. Um, I just no other 4-2 team. This is the most like the most special treatment I've ever seen for a Notre Dame team. Um, like I said, Notre Dame last won national championship in 1988. As far as claimed national titles, um, unclaimed national titles, which I don't understand how that would work. Oh well, they had to vacate all of those losses because of some kind of infraction. Uh, so that's fun. Um, I just think anytime I've said for a long time, like I hate Notre Dame. I can't stand them because I don't understand what like I get that teams can kind of be like for their prestige and their history and those kind of things. But if that's the case, then Yale should be ranked and uh Harvard and all of those the Ivy League schools should definitely be ranked all the time, perennially, like as Notre Dame is. I just don't. It makes no sense that Notre Dame gets this treatment, especially not having a conference. Other teams get punished for conference losses. They beat Arkansas and move up 3 or 4 spots. Arkansas fired their coach after that game. Um, I don't understand it. And this ain't nothing against Freeman. I'm all for a black coach getting his shine. I'm all for a black coach getting opportunities. I've spoken about that before. I just Notre Dame gets graded on a curve unlike any other one that I've ever seen or that we will ever see. Um, and anytime they've made the championship or the playoff in my lifetime, they've gotten smacked. Um, the last time Notre Dame made the 14 playoff, they got beat in their first round. Uh, I think the they might have been in the last BCS championship against Alabama, where they also got spanked. Um, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Last season, which was the first season of the 12 team playoff, the rule was that the top four seeds, sorry, the top four seeds had to be conference champions. This year, they changed the rule to where, okay, if you're a Notre Dame team, then and you finish the season at whatever your record is, and we feel that you're better than the other 11 teams, we'll put you in the top four. Just for no because I mean you got to think that that rule is just for Notre Dame because like I said, UConn having the same record, the exact same record, uh, unranked. So that's I'm off my soapbox, but I just think that that is some BS. The way that Notre Dame gets viewed and those kinds of things is like they kept their rankings because of forecast. Everybody else get ranked because of results, and then they're now number 13 sitting right outside of the top 12. But if the playoffs were today, like I said earlier, they would be in it. Um, so I don't know. I'm not here to say what is and what ain't fair. Like I said, it's coming from a very privileged Alabama fan. I've been eating good all my life as far as that goes. Seven national championships in my lifetime. Um, that's more than a lot of people can say. So I'm blessed in that regard as far as being an Alabama fan, but I just think that that is bogus. The fact that Notre Dame is not only ranked but is number 13 in the country with two losses. And again, as I said, I keep reiterating, but as I said earlier, the only other two-loss team that's currently ranked had to spent a week unranked, and had to earn their way back into the rankings. So yeah, I think at the end of the day, there's some bullshit. Um, I don't get it, and I'll never understand the love and the fervor for Notre Dame, who hasn't won in several decades. Um, so that's that on that. Uh, Other than that, I've been playing skate still. Uh, I picked up my Steam Deck a lot more often lately. So that's been fun. Also picked up my ROG Ally. I've been playing it. Started back playing Diablo Immortal. I know that's a time sinker, so I know when I can get to the point of no return in that game. Um, but that's it on gaming and music. This has been a year of like not even career renaissance, but just hip hop renaissance. If you catch my drift, the Clips coming out with an album this year that was excellent. Uh, Slick Rick's album was okay. Raekwon coming out with a good album. Ghostface Killer coming out with a good album. Um, Nas has an album slated for December with DJ Premier, which Nas has been on a run of like one producer albums lately that I don't know if we'll see this again from like one of the elites like a Kendrick. I don't think we'll see a one producer album from Kendrick, especially not and definitely not seven of them. Um J. Cole, I don't think, maybe I mean him producing his own stuff, maybe, but I think J. Cole is over hip hop at this time, at this point. So I don't know if we get many more albums from Cole. Uh Wale, maybe. I can see Wale doing a one producer project. But again, I don't see him doing seven. It's and but 5 or 6 years ago, I probably wouldn't have said it. I probably would have said the same thing about Nas. Actually, this is his eighth one producer album because of the Nasir album, which I think is extremely underrated. I get the hardcore Nas fans, which I could consider myself to be a hardcore Nas fan, but um, a lot of the I guess northern Nas fans hated that album, that Nasir album, but I liked it a lot. Anyway, Big L has an album coming out this year. Safe Travels to Big L. Who else? De La Soul has an album coming out. Uh, I don't know if I mentioned it already, but I wanted to talk about the Mobb Deep album being as good as it is. I just think like if you are a fan of hip hop like before the 2000s and those kind of things, or early 2000s, this is a year for you. Uh, I'm thinking about like 2013s and the 2016s. Um, in hip hop. Like this is kind of starting to, rival those 2 years for me. Um, Never forget 2013. We got, again, this is gonna be some albums that I find to be underrated. But Yeezus, we got Magna Carta Holy Grail, we got Gifted by Wale, we got Watching Movies with the Sound Off from Mac Miller. That was just an excellent year to me. Um, So yeah, I think that we are in a good spot with hip hop right now. I know that the charts don't necessarily show that or reflect that right now, but I mean Cardi had a number one album. Uh Mobb Deep did end up going number one on Apple Music charts. So, it's good to see that. Um and that's about it. That's about all I got on music right now. I think Tame Impala is coming out with an album pretty soon. So I'm excited about that. Always good to hear Tame Impala music. And even like other genres for me. Miguel announced his album is coming out, I think next week. Um, the Black Keys put out an album earlier this year. It's just been an amazing year musically. Um, I am seeing that the Orioles are interested in Albert Pujols to be their manager. So that'll be interesting. I will try to make it when the Orioles come to town, or if he ends up managing the Angels, I'll definitely try to make, whichever game here against the Braves. That's my guy. That's my favorite player ever, and I am hoping for his success. I think Pujols, as far as baseball, I think Pujols would be good at anything he decides to do. Um, he's one of the all-time greats. Can't wait to see him go to the Hall of Fame. Um, and let's see. And closing up here, Malcolm Brogdon has retired. Interesting. I think he just signed. I think he just signed with the Knicks this offseason. Yeah, he did. He just signed with the Knicks this offseason and just decided that he wanted to call it quits. Uh, you know, Best of luck to him moving forward. I think that's about it. I think that's all I got for this week. I'm gonna try to do more than one episode a week with basketball season coming up. It'd be a lot to talk about in just one episode, so hopefully I can spread that out over 2 or 3 episodes a week. No promises. There will definitely be one episode at least, but we'll see uh how many here and there. Some weeks it may be two, some weeks it may be three, some weeks it just may be one. So um we'll definitely see. Other than that, I hope you are well. I thank you for watching. I hope you subscribe, like the video, trying to get me boosted up a little bit. And comment if you would. I haven't, it's this whole thing is kind of new to me as far as uploading off of my iPad and those kinds of things and looking at the comments and stuff. So if you do comment, I will get with you. I don't have that big of an audience yet, so I'm sure it's a manageable amount right now. Other than that, thank you again. Please subscribe, like the video, and I will see you next week. I love you all. Peace.